He's on my side, and he always abides with me.
Good evening. Welcome to HBCU Delaware Talks, another episode. And I thank you for allowing me, we, to be inside of your living room. But prior to we going into our talk show this evening, let's have a moment of silence for the victims in Orlando. Let's have a moment of silence for the victims in Wilmington. Let's have a moment of silence for Wilmington. Let's have a moment of silence for those who are not here with us. Thank you. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for this day that you have made. I thank you for allowing us to be glad in it. Father God, in the name of Jesus, order our tongues that we may say what is acceptable by you, allowing us to reach out to the community, allowing us to share ideas with the community, allowing us to speak up for the community, because without community or without unity in community, there's no hope. So let us right now, Father God, say things that will benefit our community, and that's acceptable by you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome to the show. I have this evening on HBCU Delaware Talks, two young folk here from Wilmington who stand out in our community and doing a lot of positive things. Sometimes we get psyched or we get fooled about some of the things that we may hear. But we really need to begin to listen. We first seek to understand, then to be understood. A lot of times we don't seek to understand first, but we want to be understood. So sometimes if things aren't said the way in which you would say them yourself, be mindful it didn't come from your mouth. So, welcome to the show. I have Maria
Beauchamp.
Maria Beauchamp and Keith James. Keith James, you've been advocating for the city of Wilmington. By the way, Keith James is one of the students from Tally Middle School.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the show, Keith.
How you doing?
I know you have a lot to say. I know that you're on fire about some things. I love your passion. Sometimes people don't understand why you're passionate like you are.
Yeah.
I hear some good things and I hear some bad things. But be mindful, bad is as good can possibly get. You know, Michael Jackson, they said he was so good, he's a bad man, just like Jordan.
Yeah.
So we could talk about some of the things, some of the ideas you have, what your thoughts are. You, Maria, some of your ideas, what's going on in the community. By the way, I am not responsible for what these two individuals may say to you this evening.
Oh, it's all positive. No worries.
I am excited because it just gives the community time to listen in, chime in, and include. You know, because we don't include everybody in decision-making process. In the decision-making process is what may affect their lives. So once we become more inclusive, we will then become less exclusive.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you? How are you?
Well.
Good.
What's going on? Talk to me.
Oh man, a lot has actually been going on. Honestly, just really working and just trusting that God is, keeping us focused on what the end goal is with the mission. Maria has been keeping me busy a lot with, the upcoming Delaware Fashion Week. And just a lot of positive work just going on in the community, being supportive of everybody's programs right now.
Oh, listen, and being that you said Delaware Fashion Week,
yes.
it's also History of Music Week. So if you get an opportunity to tune in, you tell me what's your favorite genre of music and tell me what was the best year of music. Now, I'm a firm believer. I'm between the 70s and the 80s, so I'm a firm believer. So that's what Michael Jackson was about. Rick James, you all would know about that. But if you get an opportunity to call in or text message Keith James, because I guess this has been.
We're doing live.
Oh no, yeah, we're live on Facebook
okay.
Too.
Good.
So
this
they're
is
gonna
live
be able to
Facebook.
ask live questions right now, and
we're gonna talk about just any and everything that concerns you.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yes.
We talk a little bit about the mayoral race and all that, but Einstein said if you do the same thing the same way over and over again, expecting a different outcome, that's insanity.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna leave that right there. Keith, Maria, what's up?
Well, as being a mentor to Keith and seeing that Keith is a voice for the youth, to me is very important, not just to be fired up about something, but how to properly carry out that message. Sometimes if we just let our youth be confused or misguided with a message that we want them to carry out, confusion and chaos can become the main subject. And that's what we don't want to happen, especially with the recent episodes and news that Keith created. We wanted to make sure that he had the opportunity to go back to the community and clear up. This is exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Okay, good. And again, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yes,
a lot of
sir.
times we jump the ship and we get mad because we don't understand.
Yes, sir.
Their lack of skills can kill
Yes.
and will. So sometimes we really have to begin to seek first to understand. So share.
Well, I mean, we were protesting for Jeremy Van McDowell. This was a protest that was planned for probably about 3 months before, the protest actually took place. But it just so happened that God saw that, the week before DOJ come out with their report. So this is from September until May 20th that the report took. And the report, as everybody knows already, was quite scary. We saw that there were flaws in some of the police officers' actions, and when you publicly put that out there and then don't indict, the community wonders, well, how can you say that X, Y, and Z was wrong, but then they're still not being held accountable in the court of law. And then when we look at the laws that are in place to protect or immune police officers, from doing certain actions, then that's when we become more scared. And I say more scared not because we're more afraid of police officers now, but we have to now fear for the police officers because we know that they're immune. And also we have to fear from the community members because we have the crime within our own communities too. And if we're seen talking to police officers, we're considered a snitch. And our life and our children's life and our, our property becomes, comes at risk now to be damaged or being hurt. Or worst case, as you see in the community being murdered. So
I'm a firm believer that, and again, be mindful, I'm gonna stay on seek first to understand, then to be understood. I'm a firm believer that a lot, we have great police. We may have 2 handfuls of police that are not doing what they, let me put it this way, we may have 2 handfuls of police that take their career as a job.
Yes.
But then you have a lot of them that take their job as a career. So when you take your career as a job, you're just going to work to get paid, and you're not going to be impactful to the city or the community. When you take your job as a career, you go out to help. And a lot of times we have people that are not taking jobs as careers.
Yes.
And the reason why is because if the employer appreciates the employee, he or she does a better job at appreciating the community. So I can see right now that it may have something to do with appreciation. And a lot of times we reactive people, because we live in Wilmington, which is a reactive city, okay? Under a fixed mindset and a good old boy, so to speak, network, instead of being, instead of having a growth mindset, being proactive and transparent. So when there's lack of transparency, we tend to have our misconceptions, or we may not understand what's going on, and that creates a thing called displaced anger. And the reason why I see that there's a lot of displaced anger simply because the word inclusion versus the word exclusion. And what I've seen as far as in Wilmington, I see a lot of exclusion. Like if you're going to look at this community and say 100% of the people, 30% may be included in the decision-making processes that affect their lives, but 70%, which is us, have been excluded. So we need to change the number around where we can be inclusive. And the way that we're inclusive is you include everybody who pays taxes in the decision-making processes that affect their lives. I don't see that happening, and I can see that kind of contributes to displaced anger.
Well, so I mean, that's what Maria did on Monday at LACC with the debate. She wanted to make it a leveled, ground for people to talk, and she can speak more to that. But I mean, I think that there's a lot of people who are doing work in the community to bring that inclusiveness within Wilmington. Create the communication and unity to make up the community. But you have a lot of people who also want their name behind it or want recognition behind it and money behind it. But working with Maria and a lot of other great leaders, we're able to see the people who truly love what they do. And I can say that that's what I've seen. Really working with Prestige Empire, working with Delaware Fashion Week, and all of the other nonprofits we work with. That's really not the case at all. That is very inclusive. But she can talk about what happened at the debate. And some questions.
For the debate, one of the things that I wanted to create, as you say, was that level, letting the community see their candidates, be able to actually really see them, not look at them, like actually see them, be level with them, and have the opportunity to say, well, I could grab a mic and I could talk to you and I can ask you a question. But I'm going to backtrack a little bit. And one of the things that I hear a lot of the candidates are saying, it's we need more community policing.
Yes.
I'm Puerto Rican, so some words here.
I love it.
I, being with Prestige Empire, I worked with the community for over 6 years. And one of the organizations that I have worked with, it's the Latino Police Association, which they just changed the name to DALE. One of the things that we've been doing for a long time is we've been collecting toys and doing a toy drive.
Awesome.
And one officer that a lot of people know and recently retired, Walter Ferris, whom I love dearly, dressed as Santa Claus, and every year we went to all these different homes and gave to the kids. To me, that is being involved in the community.
That is.
So I would like to know, candidates, what are you really talking about? Because if I was a candidate running, I think I would want to be more clear and detailed. To me, are we talking about allowing the police officers to have time with the community like they want to? Because there's a handful, like you said, that loves it. This is the passion for them. They want to be out there, but they're not being allowed. Are we allow them to create their own programs and supporting them? Or are we talking about having substations alone and just wait for a crime to happen or try to prevent a crime? What exactly does community and police really means to each candidate? And I think they're not being detailed or completely mindful about what it takes to have the community and the police work together. And in the lack of leadership within the community and the police department, you have a lot of voices of police officers that are not being heard. They're actually working really hard to be involved with the community, but are being called out of that. So like you said, we have to see all sides and we have to weigh them all in fairly.
Yeah.
And to your point, I understand inclusion.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have the police are not included in the community for some reasons, and then the community is not included in the police for some reasons, and we have to change that fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And because of some of the actions, because of the fixed mindset, we see failure. I mean, listen, you can't change people. However, you can change the situation, and the only way you change situations is by changing self. And we have to really begin to change in ourselves and approach the situation with a think win-win attitude. I'm a Stephen Covey fan, and he's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the things he says, think win-win. No one really has to lose. I don't have to agree with you, but let's come up with some way that we can both win. So every party can win. How does every party win? Inclusion. You know what I mean? Because if you're included in these decisions, you can then what? Say, well, I agree or I disagree. Yeah. But if you're not included and then they make a decision that affects your life, sure, you're going to be angry. And you have every right to be. Yeah. So we have to work on our first of all, education.
Yes.
We have to work on appreciating you. And then we have to be better or effective communicators. Yeah. And if we're not doing any of these things, it's just not going to work. By the way, I am running for mayor, so I could put it out there on my show.
Yes, you are.
So,
So what would it be for you then? When we're talking about the community and the police, what exactly would it mean for you? How you would do that?
You're talking about well, everyone talks about community policing.
What does that mean to you?
You want to know about my ASAP plan?
Yeah.
My goodness. Listen, we're not going to go into all of my ideas because people steal.
Yeah. Well, this is.
But I'm gonna tell you about my ASAP plan.
Yeah. This is something though that like people can try to take it. I mean, it just has to be executed with fidelity. You know what I mean? And one thing that I think we can agree on is that we see that different groups, police officers, the black community, the white community, Hispanic community, are all saying the same thing, that the media is not perceiving us the way that we want to be perceived. And so when you look at police officers, Walter Ferris is the one who told me, he said, I'm a part of a minority group. Now, when I first heard it, I was just kind of like that's the card you play. But nah, and when I sat back and thought about it, I realized that they are not perceived the way they want to be perceived. We take the actions of a few police officers who are acting negatively or acting, showing signs of racism, but that doesn't mean that everybody who is a police officer in this nation is racist. And the same within the black community as well. I mean, it happens to all of us that we're not perceived the way the media is. So one thing that we really need to start to do is stop promoting the negative news. Probably 90% of the news that's shared on News Journal or Delaware Online, that's shared on people's Facebooks, is probably from the crime section. Less than 5% is probably the opinion section. You know what I mean? Everybody, because negative news travels faster. But I am interested in seeing what's your idea of community policing.
Oh, well, interested that you asked. But we talk about perception, the way in which we see. See, let me tell you what the issue is. See, we were trained to see with our eyes, and we were trained to hear with our ears. But we wasn't trained to hear with our eyes, and we wasn't trained to see with our ears. See, if you see a house that's out there burning and it's glistering outside, inside that house is pitch black. So you can't see. So you got to hear with your eyes to get out. So we have to get over the perception of the way in which we see things. And we take that we and make it I. So if we get out of the I part and say a we part, we can then see the same thing. We see things together, but we interpret them individually and or differently. But anyway, my ASAP plan it's as soon as possible I would implement it, but it's really an affirmative strategic action plan. Wow. So when that plan, and I've talked to a couple of police, they like it, but nobody really wants to respond. But it's about inclusion. See, if I take north side, west side, east side, and south side, that's 4 areas. In New York, it would be 4 boroughs. Okay, be mindful. Wilmington is small enough that you can case manage Wilmington. So understand it first and foremost. But I would put 4 police on the north side, 4 police on the east side, 4 police on the west side, 4 police on the south side. And if it has to be more, it'll be more. But this is what my idea is. 4 of them, right? A black, white, Hispanic or Latino, and a female. So each hour, each one of them have a number, 1 through 4. Each hour, and be mindful, that's 16 police. Each hour, all the number 1s rotate to the next area. After the second hour, all the number 2s rotate. After the third hour, all the number 3s. So by 4 hours, you have seen 16 police in your community every day, all the time. And then here we go with no names. So guess what? Now we're involved in the community because we're beginning to see the police and be effectively done in Wilmington. Now, guess what it does? Remember we talked about that handful of people, the handful of police, there's 2 handful of police officers that just don't want to do right. Well, guess what? If we all working together outside, guess what? It brings love and community. It brings it together inside because I have to work with you inside in order to work with you outside. So and look at that. It's a circle, just like the heart, just like the love. And I'm not going there. But if we talk about the love and the heart, the greater he in me is greater than he who is in the world. Bottom line.
Drop the mic.
Will you allow for more, which I think that our city needs, not just like Keith decided that he wanted to do workshops to effectively teach the community how to be active and or have a protest. But we also, I believe personally, that our police officers need extra training as well when they're engaging with the community, and or are we even taking care of their mental state of mind?
Well, here again, I'm a school teacher. So I'm not a politician. As far as school teacher, we have professional development, constantly training because things change. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't train because the state of Delaware, the police train the same. They have some, they do train. And I go into that customer service and customer support component, but they do train. Should we have professional developments? Often and always. Yes, we should. Teachers, should we have sensitivity training? Of course, because a kid may come in your classroom and use one of them homegrown adjectives. And if you don't have the sensitivity to understand that's the language in which he learned at home, we'll put him out of class. You see what I mean? And then when he's put out of class, what happens then? He's missing those lessons. And guess what? He's far behind. You know, kids begin to read between the ages kindergarten to 3rd grade. And then 4th grade until the rest of their life, they read to learn. So if you're not reading on grade level by 3rd grade, you're trying to catch up the entire time. So sometimes you might use some of them homegrown adjectives, and if we're not sensitive to that, the kid will fall further behind. And that has happened. Yes, do police need sensitivity training? I would say yes. All people need sensitivity training. Because as like we say the police need sensitivity training, they're probably saying we do too.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I mean, but
if we included and we can give ideas how we think by what you're doing and teaching that class, if we do that, and it catches on and it's accepted. Yeah. See, that's the problem. Being accepted or being included. If one person doesn't accept it, who is in the power or the powers that be don't accept it, it can't work.
Okay, so because my eyes are going and I'm touching down here, and things just keep dropping down. So pretty much what the conversation online is, you know, why isn't there more foot patrols? And one thing that just came up is, you know, no, we need more police officers policing themselves. One thing that we see is a lot of police officers, you know, tell us when they stop us that, you know, nobody's above the law, so don't even try pulling the card. But a lot of these police officers, when in uniform, break more laws, you know, than we actually see. And sometimes is it required? Yes. Do you have to be a little bit more forceful just for your protection? Yes. But at the same time, do you have to, you know, beat everybody that runs from you? And I deal with a lot of young people, and I'm not somebody who wants to come up here and create division between anybody else in the community. I don't want people in the community to think I'm speaking badly about police officers, but when you deal with youth on a large scale through Fashion Week, through mentorship, through Voices for the Voiceless, through a number of programs, and you have a select few of young men between the ages of really 13 to 17 saying the same message that every person that they know, if they run from police officers, they're getting beat up. Why are you running from police officers is always the question we ask them. well, we scared. Like we don't want to talk to them. If we're talking to them and they're gonna harass us, then what do we do? You know what I mean? So I think our community, we have to teach them how to deal with police officers as well. When you're driving, keep your hands on the steering wheel, you know, and if you're pulled over, you know, keep your voice at a certain level, things like that. But why is that necessary for the black community to have to go through those sensitivity trainings, but the people in, you know, the suburbs aren't really going through those trainings about keeping your hands on the wheel, keeping your voice at a certain level, reach very slowly? I mean, we're talking about it's 2016, and our main thing to save youth lives from police officers who police the community are talking about keep your hands on the steering wheel.
Sure.
It's a scary time. It's a scary you know, time in this world, I think. And I think if we can't really accept that, you know, we don't know who the enemy is most of the time, and most of the times it's in our community and it is ourselves, but there are times where it's people from the outside as well that it's hard for us to really address it, and people think that you're trying to down an entire group when you do that, when really it's only a select few of officers who are really breaking laws in Wilmington Police Department to, you know, talk about them, and then it's only a select few of people in the community right now that's really stirring up this violence right now.
So let me ask you, who are these people that are getting in trouble? Who are the police pulling over? And I hear you saying, you know, it's a black thing more or less that's being pulled over. Let me ask this question, and it goes back to education. Mm-hmm. Understand this. A lot of our kids aren't reading on grade level. Mm-hmm. And if you're not reading on grade level, you're really not making the best choices that you could possibly make, because the vocabulary is low. Stop doesn't mean stop. Fear to you is not the same fear to a child who has a gun. See, because they feel worthless. And they feel worthless because between kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, these kids wasn't reading. And because they wasn't reading, when they got in the fourth grade, the behavior kicked in simply because they're trying to catch up. They don't understand. I guarantee you, a lot of this crime are from kids that are not reading on grade level.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure you'll find that.
Not just only that. I believe that, all right, so if we go to school, and I came from Puerto Rico, I moved here, I didn't know the language, and certain opportunities were given to me, and I was hungry enough to grab them.
Sure.
But it took one teacher to really say, this student has potential. If it would not been for that one teacher, God knows who I would have been right now at this very moment. If we have more educators engaged in understanding not everyone is meant for corporate America, so then how can we have the students that are not meant for corporate America, which is what we're training them for, have other avenues? And I understand now we have more charter schools and we have more activities and things like that, but again, you know, a teacher is overworked. Sometimes, most of the time they're missing factors. I believe recently you had a student that told you that the teacher themselves told them, well, you're gonna go to jail anyway, or you're not gonna be anyone.
Remember I said about that sensitivity?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
so
it happens, it happens. I mean, at Tally it happened, and I won't forget the teacher who told me that I would never be nothing.
Don't say any names either.
Oh no, I won't. Look, I'm not worried about him.
But the handful, like I said,
the
handful,
yeah.
You have those who care, you have those who don't. Some of them take a career, and some of them take it as a job.
Okay, but you can't. But for people in this community, it's hard for you to really tell because everybody's smiling in your face.
Oh,
and that's the hardest part about it. You have people that will walk up to you and tell you, keep up the great work, keep doing what you're doing, and then behind the next door saying, well, we're not liking what they're saying, we're not liking what they're doing. You know what I mean? Everybody's saying that they want youth at the table. Everybody's saying that they want youth a part of their platform. Everybody's saying that youth is the main thing. But when you look at these youth-driven initiatives, when you look at these youth conversations that are happening at these debates, when you're looking at all this, where are the youth? How do you have an entire forum at the Chase Center around education, around how to better education without having the people being educated?
And having teachers involved. See, when I'm the mayor, we talk local control. Mm-hmm. Every time they talk local control, they speak of local control from the state level. Well, the state does Common Core, the state does a lot of different things as far as our salaries are concerned. Mm-hmm. But if the city really wanted local control, the city would work with the treasurer's office and come up with a fund. Okay, well, we'll take $15. Is that all right? Can we take $15? Go inside the school district, pull out some teachers. Okay, the school district then gives $15. That's a total of $30. Guess what these teachers are doing? Designing and setting up programs for these kids. You know why? Because teachers see kids more than the parents. So you know what's going to happen when the teachers are involved with these kids? It's going to be change. But teachers are not included. Teachers often talk about, but they're not included. When they talk about redistricting, how many teachers were included?
Yeah.
Or only the ones who really wanted to be.
No. How many teachers that were at the table saying, listen, we need teachers. They need teacher input. We the one work with kids daily. So I'm big on pulling teachers out into the community so we can then gain local control. See, because if you, listen, it's some kids at the school that I have to start over with every single day they come to school, like the first day. Because they do what they can in school, they come home and they become the parent and have to take care of little siblings. You know what I mean? So they don't have time to be working on their homework. So the next day they come in, we got to do the same thing over. But here's the problem. Practice doesn't make you perfect. However, practice enhances perfection. If we don't practice doing good, we're not going to do good. If we practice doing bad things, that's what it's going to say. You don't see anything in the city of Wilmington that speaks to education. You go to the bus stops. I'm setting it up like this. You go to the bus stops and you see where the awnings or the over top of the bus stop. I'm putting embedded in those windows multiplication charts, addition charts. I'm putting in noun, verb, adjective, subject, agreement. So if you read it and you see it and you begin to see it, guess what? Practice enhances perfection. Then you start talking the language. You know what I mean? But if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Okay, so we see a lot of stuff that's happening, such as the negative, and that's more in our vision. So guess what we do? We act accordingly.
Okay, so you tell me if I'm wrong, you know? Okay, because I know, because I'm very passionate about this, and that's what I want everybody to know. I'm very passionate about everything that I'm speaking on. But, you know, again, and it's seen on here, and it's a lot, you know, Alession Reed says he sees, he knows kids with straight A's that are still gangbanging. He knows kids that are still in the street and they have good grades. You know why? Because I'll talk through a first-hand experience, what I know about what I've been through.
Sure.
When you are a young kid and you see your mom struggling to put meals on the table, you see your mom struggling with bills, and you may not even necessarily see it. My mom was good at hiding things, but you hear these conversations, you hear the tear, you know, her crying at night, you hear these things, and you don't want to be that burden. So what do? You go to find a way to make your own money. And I'm sure we don't got to talk about it. You know how, you know, there's other ways for you to make money in these that aren't necessarily good and that are very illegal, right? So then you have easier access to drugs and you have easier access to guns than you do a quality education and people that actually care. Because a lot of these teachers that we come in contact with, you know, you have the ones that you really try to engage with, but it's hard to really engage with all of the students that you deal with and personally get to know everything they're going through. So a lot of these kids who may be those straight A students, because I was getting good grades when I was in Tally, you know what I mean? Nobody knew what was going on when I hit home, you know? But when I got home, a new Keith came out. It was like, okay, well, now that I'm out of school and, you know, I was a part, you know, I was able to get the free lunch meals and things like that, like at school. But guess what? When you leave here, life still happens. And so you're still faced with choices when you leave here. Do we go and get this money the way that we need to make sure that my mom's not stressing, or do we say it's so-called right and then see my mom cry and see my mom struggle? So we're faced with a real problem here. We don't have really any resources, and education is a big part of it, but jobs is another thing. Community centers, things like, you know, just things that are keeping our minds engaged. But we can't say that it's just education because, I mean, you know, you can have the smartest, you know, somebody can be 100% book smart, but be dumb as a brick when it comes to street smarts.
Be mindful that education is the field that make all other fields possible.
Education, I mean, but also remember that there were slaves who built this nation without an American education. They built the White House, they built the Capitol. They didn't have the American education, though.
And they paved the way for us.
They paved the way for us through an education system that was taken from us.
But if you know the difference, what do you do? If you know bad, what do you do? If you make straight A's and you know bad, you still make it straight A's, so you're doing something right. It's the kid that's not making the straight A's and not doing something right. If I'm a straight A student and I see my man's not, I'm going to make it so he can be a straight A student because I'm going to teach him. Each one teaches one. You know, so I'm definitely going to have to make sure that I work with this guy. If I care, we're going to have to help each other. Just like you advocate for your community, for your age group, pull those cats in, man. I don't know if the older, those older guys, I don't know the relationship with them. I know because I'm a school teacher and I see it all the time. But if you have an opportunity, it'll take you, it's going to take, but you're going to have to be included at the table.
Question
I get it.
for you. So it says, how are you going to balance a budget that is
In deficit.
that's in deficit to all that you're claiming you can do while campaigning?
Well, first of all, how am I going to balance a budget? I'm lost. Help me out again. Read that question again.
How are you going to balance a budget that's in deficit to all that you're claiming
To do all that you're claiming.
to do all that you're claiming to do while campaigning?
Well, you have to balance your life. First of all, you stay healthy. Secondly, I'm independent. I'm in God. I'm dependent on the Word. That's what my source of strength is. Secondly, independent party, that's free ballot access. See, when you're going to be smart, you're not going to go out and put $4,000 in a campaign. And I want you to understand that people who put a whole lot of money in a local campaign, you need to get an idea how they're going to spend those taxpayers' dollars. So you understand what the mayor is. The mayor is a cup, if you want to use an analogy. The city council is the water in that cup. The mayor's objective is to keep that cup full of water. City council's objective is to water the plants throughout the community. So if you see plants growing in one area of the community and not in the other area of the community, that should give you some idea as to how that city council representative is spending money. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to form 2 boards. Of course, I'm going to form a board for the, I keep James' board for all the kids. Because I've seen him and I know his story. So, and what you're doing, see, when people don't know your story or your testimony, they don't understand. So if they knew your testimony, they get a better understanding of who you are and why you are who you are. But listen, a board of civic association presidents, we meet once a month. A board of our pastors, black, white, Hispanic. I heard Mr. Cabrera try to use that. That's mine. So don't be stealing my
No, man, I don't know.
I want to do that right now. A board of pastors, black, white, Hispanic, Catholic, Muslim, because that's going to create our circle where we begin to include everyone. I have a kid on my campaign team because I don't have no money to pay nobody. I do stuff out of passion, and be mindful that passion doesn't follow money. Money follows passion. So when you're passionate about what you do,
I could testify to that. Everyone out there that thinks I have money, no, I don't. I'm very broke. You could donate to us.
Yeah, but we keep it moving. Question for you. So how do you plan on dealing with the drug epidemic?
I just thought about it. I'm being interviewed.
I mean, we're asking
on my
questions.
show.
Because you know that they're gonna ask us because they hear us talking about how we want to promote nonviolence, prevent drug abuse, provide advocacy for the community.
Wow.
And so they see us doing this, and I think it's safe to say that I mean, like Maria, when you go out here every day, you're not trying to necessarily make a name for yourself as far as like, you don't want credit for the positive work that you're doing, but you want to be known for and remembered for the positive work that you've done in the community and remember for the love that you brought to the community, right? So it's not that we're going out here to get the glory, but it's like if God forbid, if anything happens to me, that I would want you to remember that I lived my life following what God wanted me to do. I said what God wanted me to say. So it's like, it's our spirit led. So they're asking, how can you deal with, what would you do to deal with or address the drug issue that's taking place, and particularly pertaining to the heroin epidemic that is not only here in Wilmington, but that is spreading out across our state.
You hear the question was, what I do, what we do.
We do.
See, because it's not an I thing, it's a we thing. If we get in, we all get in. My board of civic association presidents, they're the community liaison with the city council. Understand this, Wilmington is small enough that we can case manage Wilmington. Where there's high drugs, shoot the resources. Where there's high dropout rate, shoot the resources. Where there's high crime, we shoot the resources. It's not that big, but it's a matter of including everybody in the decision-making process. It's a matter of including you, him, whoever's asked the question. What is a great way to stop the drug addiction? My idea is that if we educate each person about the good and the bad and the ugly, and then include them and hear what they have to say, that's going to help it go. That'll help it less. When we talk positive things happen. So what we do, okay? I'm not going to have the answer for every single thing, but I tell you what, I'm going to go out and find the answer. Right now, that's an epidemic. Crime's an epidemic. All these things stir up because of their lack of. See, when you have, you don't get caught up in the negative. If you practice positive, you're going to do positive things. What can we do as a community? This is a conversation. The mayor's not going to have all the answers, but the mayor's going to be inclusive because your answer might be better than mine, but you don't get an opportunity because sometimes your answers fall on deaf ears, just like mine. That's why I'm running, because I'm running for us. So it's an us thing, it's a we thing. What can we do to change that mindset with the drugs?
I mean, but
how do we get that stuff out of our city?
We got to remember that there's a lot of people who don't even know. Somebody asked me today, and I promise you, there's this young man today, and he said, "Isn't our mayor's last name Williams?" I said, "Yeah, I took a picture with him. He seems like a cool person from the streets." He said, "But do you think he's doing anything?" Real life question. And this is somebody I did not think that he would ask me anything about the mayor. He was like, but I relate to him. You know what I mean? Good. So the way, and I say that to say, like, young people are starting to really get into understanding who's leading our city, right? Good. So how do you bring people to the table who don't want to be at the table, who don't know where the table is at? I mean, like, really, is it because you make it, and the reason I follow up with that question, because you make it seem as if it's easy, but this is something that I understand, because we talk. I know that when God puts us to something, it seems like everything falls into place for it. But how come it hasn't been? Maybe the question should be, how come it hasn't been done already, to where our community has been taken care of the way it needs to be taken care of?
Well, faith without works is dead. Understand that first and foremost. So when they talk about these different policies without unity in the community is dead. We have to begin to work on our unity in our community before anything can operate. All these policies and reinventing the wheel, why? We need community, we need unity. And by having unity, it has to be inclusive. See, I know how these brothers and sisters feel because they're just like me. They haven't been included. We got some great talented, you got God-given abilities in you. And if you have the God-given abilities in you, he reveals that ability, and then he gives you a test. And then once you pass that test, you then have the testimony. So guess what? It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to get a person off of drugs who's experienced. I experienced getting high. In college, you got that right, and I loved it. But was it good for me? I had to say, well, you know what? I had to come to, you have to hit rock bottom sometime. You have to fail, because the only way that you can be successful is to experience some sort of failure. But understand, failure is just a test. Man, I wish I could get you to see this. The failure is just a test, man. We all go through something. If things were easy to get, everybody would have it. The hardest thing that we have right now is communication and appreciation. And because their lack of education. We have to, listen, I want to teach every time I see something. If I see wrong, yo, that's wrong. They say snitches get stitches. Yo, my man, that's wrong. Stitches don't get stitches.
Wrong is okay. Right and wrong is something to either say what we agree with or what we disagree with. Okay, so with past generations, we start to see how wrong and right start to shift. The definition of family starts to shift. The definition of love starts to shift as we go farther into this thing we call life, right? So I think we really have to think about what we're saying is right and wrong, because what we're hearing from our elders is that X, Y, and Z is wrong. But what we're being fed through media, what we're being fed through music, what we're being fed through art is teaching us otherwise. It's teaching us to embrace the trap life. It's teaching us to embrace the hood or ghetto mentality. It's teaching us to really...
But I'm going to stop you there, because then that will all depend who you're supporting to and what you're listening to, and what are you doing as a community member to make sure. Now, let's talk about the city. Let's bring it back to the city. You went a little bit too national for us right now. So let's bring it back to the city of Wilmington.
Sure.
We have a lot of artists
Oh,
here working on positive messages, working with the youth. We have a lot of people like myself, with the little bit that we have, putting it right back out there to do events to keep the youth engaged. Therefore, they're staying so busy that they don't have time to want to get a gun. We got people like Richard Raw. We have Artist Avenue, Jason Aviles. They just started the Green Box Project to employ the youth. So how can you as a mayor say, hey, these are the things that I'm going to create to give jobs to the youth, that way they are busy, staying out of trouble, and how am I going to support all these different groups and bring them together to work together and bring that hip-hop culture with positive impact that we're actually doing, because it's being done right now. It's actually being done.
In Wilmington, only
in Wilmington.
Only in Wilmington.
Well, I understand that rap is just a joke. I'm old school. Rap is not a brand new tool. See, 50 years down the line, they might start this, but we'll be the old school artists. See, I like rap. See, and in order for you to understand the rap, you're gonna have to like it. So we gravitate to things that we like. If it's out of my mic, like some of the older folks, you know, they down with the Gil Scott Heron, all those guys, but they like the jazz, the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival. They like that. But rap is really good. Rap used to be some good rap in the 80s. You probably wouldn't know about that. But
I mean, I wasn't born, but the way internet is set up,
So
I'm able to listen to
we
it.
really have some rap artists, and in order for you, listen, you have to really be engaged, in tune with it to make it grow. So I'm the only candidate that has actually experienced both segregation and desegregation. Because in 1978, I was at Wilmington High School, and from 1979 through 81, I was at McCain High School. So one thing that I've learned is that different cultures at that time, when you're in high school, it's like, you know, a lot of times they didn't really talk about sending you to college. You had to really work to go to get to college and look for some of the things on your own. But just the cultures of music, if you enjoy, you tend to put into it. So you could tell a politician putting money where he likes to do is for what he likes to do. If there's a politician that's going to do everything that he can for the entire community, that lets you know that politician is well-rounded. Some of them do things according to how they feel.
Yes.
You know, and that's not fair, but that should give you some idea as to what this politician is involved with, or is he going to help you in your community?
Yes.
We have to be helping a lot of people in every community. I look at the fact that there are so many people running under the Democrat ticket.
It's a way to bring more division in the community. I mean, I'm sure they all have great ideas, and a lot of them, I mean, I deal with a lot of them on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
I like them, you know, as people a lot, you know what I mean? But really, we have to really just start to come together as a community, come together as one. We see, you know, all these different people that we like, and we talk about it. We probably talk about it at least 3 times a week, because it changes so much. Because some people are actually, you know, going out there and saying, going out on a limb and saying everything that they want to say, and some of them are being more reserved one week. But then when you start to hear the ideas, then it's just like, you know, so many ideas are coming, and it's like they're great ideas, but we want to start to now see, you know, the actual works of it. What does it look like? How can we really get into details on what community policing is? Because they make statements that that community policing is wrong in what we're doing. You know, the community, making the entire police force of a community policing unit is wrong. But they're going to still have community policing. Well, what's going to change? Are you going to bring back the original 7 that there were? How are you going to split up what community policing is? They're not really getting in depth what their plans are. It's just kind of like, okay, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then, you know,
So
they won't make promises.
What are you?
I have to include the community. How are you going to have community police if you don't include the community?
Do you mean include the community through things like the Citizen Advisory Council? Because we have that now. We have a
decision-making processes that affect you. If you pay taxes, you need to be included when decisions are made. You need to be at the table. It needs to be something that goes off on your phone saying, hello, we're going to make another decision, so that you can have a say. Because a lot of times people have great ideas that fall on deaf ears because the power that be doesn't have that same idea. See, listen, we have to be a creative people. And as far as community policing, let me throw it back at you. How would you, if you're given the opportunity to operate a community police force? Or what would you do differently than the police? I know right now we have customer service and customer support as one entity.
That's the problem. Customer service and public service are two different things.
For customer service, I say this because customer service is for the customer, and you're the customer, and we have to support the customer with our service, because that's what you pay us for.
Exactly, but then again, we need public service, and I think
Sure,
that
we need
even
public
when
service.
it becomes to running, and if you're going to sell me your customer service, I don't want to buy your customer service. I need your public service. The community need public service. The community need everyone that is involved to be able to understand the difference, because customer service comes with what am I going to get from you too? Not just what I'm giving you, but what am I going to get from you? Versus public service is selfless, all for you. I don't need you to give me anything back.
Here's the deal. As the mayor, you have to be a public servant.
Exactly.
Okay, and we all serve. Okay, so don't get involved with teaching, don't get involved with police, don't get involved with things if it's not a servant. Okay, we all are here to serve. Now, when I say customer service and customer support, they have that as one entity where it should be two. You should have a customer service, so when you call, I don't care if I'm mad, that you need to answer that phone within the first 3 rings, because I'm serving you. And if you're mad and you're cussing me out on the phone, I still have to be nice. That's customer service. Then I have to support you in spite of, okay, ma'am, I understand you're trash, you need to be picked up. We're gonna have the support, we're gonna have these people out there at 12 o'clock p.m. They have to be there at 12 o'clock. If they're not there at 12 o'clock, I have a problem with them. But if you're not there at 12 o'clock, I got a problem with you too. So here's another deal. If it snows in front of your house, and we all run into that problem in the city with the snow detail, if your address is 116, you have a sticker on your car that says 116. So when it's snowing and somebody shovels out your parking spot and put their chairs there and their car doesn't say 116, guess what? They're getting a fine. Because that's your property. I'd rather give them a fine than them and you to fight and somebody get hurt. So what's going to happen is you're going to have that parking spot, but if you don't shovel your snow, you're going to get fined. Because I'd rather you get fined than somebody to fall in front of your house and then they sue you. You see what I mean? This is customer service. This is customer support. Be nice. Sometimes, and you know what? It's nice to be important. More importantly, be nice. And that's the problem. The customer service and support. They use it as one when it should be two. I'm gonna have an office of customer service and I'm gonna have an office of customer support. And I'm a firm believer that to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late, and to be late is not acceptable. So we have to, first of all, since I'm working for you, I want you to be happy. Because listen, if you're happy, that makes me know that, you know what, God, I'm doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. But if you're not happy, that means I'm not doing something right. Look at the big picture. If water right now is not being poured in all of the plants, if all the plants throughout the city are not growing, look at that city council representative. Because if you got plants growing in Little Italy and we all city council, okay, you got extra money, help me out. That's what it's all about. Let's grow the whole community. Listen, it's not murder town. A lot of hearts in the town have been murdered. There's some great people in town. A lot of these people and a lot of these kids are out shooting because they feel worthless. So if you feel worthless, you don't matter, because I don't matter. So we need to really change that mindset so people can matter. Okay? That's why I say seek first to understand, then to be understood. So sometimes we don't understand the police, but we seek it. Sometimes police don't understand why you're doing what you do. You know why you upset? Because the anger has been displaced. I need answers. That's all I want. Be honest. Stop making me come out here with a group of people to get an answer. And that's what it is. Poor communication skills within the city. Poor appreciation. If the employer doesn't appreciate the employee, he's not going to do a great job at appreciating the community. All you got to do is look at it. These are self-check ideas. Listen, case management. Case management. I'm a spec ed teacher, so we are case managers. Wilmington's small enough that it can be case managed. We can do this. Everybody have to be passionate. Everybody have to begin to look at the job as a career. Don't just go to work to get paid, because you're only going to go to work to get paid. Go to work to make a difference. And a lot of these guys are getting paid, but they're not making a difference. I'm going to be the mayor. I don't care about being the mayor. I care about utilizing the office to upbring our community. That's it. And that's what we're going to have to do. And if we don't do it, it's going to be the same thing. It's a vicious cycle. Trust me, I'm born and reared Democrat, okay? But we built a machine that we're not a part of. I'm sorry, it is what it is. That's why I'm independent. So I don't care if you're Democrat, Independent, Republican, black, green, purple, orange, or blue. If you have the city's best interests at heart, come on and get on the team.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. But we got to fix this, and we got to make you, it's all about you.
Yeah.
It's about our kids, man. Wilmington, man, I'm telling you, growing up back when I grew up, man, in 1968, I was born in 63, so in 68, Martin Luther King was assassinated. His casket came through Wilmington on the train, so did Bobby Kennedy, you know. So, but the lights on 4th Street on Christmas time, man, everything used to be decorated. LACC used to be La Bolequeña. You didn't know that, did you? Did I say it right? What is it called? I remember LACC, and even the Puerto Rican Day Parade, where is it? Oh, if I'm the mayor, oh, it's coming back. You best believe that. Because we need culture. And you know what? Believe it or not, that parade is a part of the arts culture. When we talk about arts in our city, guess what we're forgetting about? The arts are not only great for bringing entertainment, but what about the autistic student or the autistic kid? What about the kid or the man, woman with Alzheimer's, which is the most expensive disease that there's no cure for? Alzheimer's and art, do you think that goes hand in hand? I can't remember, I can't recall, but dang, I see that. That looks familiar. See, so it's about teachers, about education, it's about appreciation, it's about communication. Yeah. I'm telling you.
I think if there's anything that, you know, for the young people to take away from everything, because it's like philosophy, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the things you're saying, it's like they're gonna have to replay and watch again to like kind of like really pick up, because and that's the thing with politics too. Now with politics, they use these big words that people really don't understand, right? And it kind of ruins the English language, and then the young people who are looking to vote, you know, they don't understand what they're really talking about, so they don't understand what they're voting for. They're 18 and they're able to die for this country. They're 18 and they're able to vote for you. They're 18 and they're able to, you know, go and buy certain things from the store, but they can't be your mayor. They can't be your city council person. But they can vote for who's our mayor. They can vote for who our council person is. Does that seem fair?
No, you might as well jump on the independent team. You get pre-ballot access, what you gonna do? I already put it out there to you, but no, I don't want to listen.
Look,
I'm just putting it out there, so that's not. But
you went there.
But again, you said in the debates. I go to the debates. You know, they say, well, it's a Democratic debate. It's a Democratic debate. See, that's a machine. If I'm running for mayor, I don't give a rat's tail whether it's Democrat, Republican, Snoopy. You know what I mean? It's a debate, and they need to get ideas from everyone. You know what I mean? They just pick and choose, and you know what? The debates aren't even community friendly, because some of these guys are talking about stuff in community like, man, what is he talking about? Because they don't understand. They got to go back and, you know, speak it, make it plain, as the pastor would say. Make it plain so everybody can understand it. First and foremost, we're not community friendly. So only way it can become community friendly is education. Get these kids reading so that they can understand the language. And they're able to decipher the language. And they can able to make changes. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if you don't understand, like, what is he talking about? And a lot of voters don't understand. We have about 2 minutes left. I appreciate you so much for coming on. We're going to do this again.
Thank you.
Maybe we can have a debate on this show.
Look,
can we do that?
I don't know if we can. That's up to you.
I don't know, because I'm saying this is education too.
We do have a voter registration coming up within the next 2 weeks for young people to come down to 109 West 7th Street to be able to register, for them to be able to vote. And I know we are doing, you know, some live interviews, talking with people and just really getting to know who our candidates are so the community can know them, and that's the main thing. And then July 10th through 17th, we have Delaware Fashion Week, and that's
gonna be hot,
Maria's. It gives them, like, honestly, she gives them a youth a lot to do throughout the year, and Delaware Fashion Week is like one of the best things that I look for this summer too. So I have the honor to host, and Maria's putting it on.
Now, but here's the deal. We're winding down, and I thank you all.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
us.
For all that you do in the lives of people. HBCU Delaware Coalition. And I'm Historically Black College and University wants to be a part. We don't have any money, but we want to be a part. So if we could begin to spread the love throughout the community and help out with the fashion, because, you know, so those HBCU graduates, they think they're cute, so they'll come out for that. They do, we do. You know, we go to college, we think we're all polished. But I really appreciate y'all. Thank you. I'm going to invite you back again. I thank you, and I thank everybody for allowing us to talk for this hour. God bless you, God keep you. That is my prayer.